This video is powered by BetUS. As we head into yet another extremely important Chicago Bears offseason, to me the message is clear. Ryan Poles needs to invest in the trenches. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl by dominating in the trenches. The offensive and defensive lines both dominated en route to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. They got pressure on Patrick Mahomes all night long, and they almost set a new Super Bowl sack record by sending just 4 pass rushers most of the game. A truly dominant performance by the Eagles in the trenches, and a clear message to our general manager, Ryan Poles, that this offseason has to be focused in the trenches, not on Cooper Kupp, not on Ashton Genty. It's not time to get cute with any of these additions. It's time to turn the attention towards the trenches. I stand with Herb Howard on this one. As much as I love Ashton Genty, if we use a first round pick on a running back, I'm probably going to be pissed off. We simply need to invest in the trenches in both free agency and the NFL draft. With the Super Bowl over, did you know that BetUS also has a casino? For all my followers who like slots or even live casino dealers, take advantage of BetUS's amazing sign up bonus, 200% bonus up to $5,000. Check out BetUS now. But I did want to make a counterpoint to that. I do think it is a perfect season to draft a running back. When you have guys like Caleb Johnson, Quinshawn Judkins, Ashton Genty himself, and even Travion Henderson, it's simply a loaded running back class, and Ben Johnson loves to run the ball. Nothing would help Caleb Williams more than if we can reestablish a powerful running game. And it's a perfect year to land a young running back at some point. But in the first round, I think we are just better off drafting a pass rusher or an offensive lineman. I think it's clear to me that Ryan Poles can't get cute this season, and he has to invest in the trenches. I don't think it has to be offensive line, though. Some people seem so dead set on that. I do think he can go defensive line in the first round and add a pass rusher, but it does mean he needs to attack the O line in free agency and spend at least one of our second round picks on the O line as well. But that's one thing I love about Ryan Poles. He plans ahead. And that's something that a lot of his detractors simply do not understand. He took a wide receiver last year, but it was one of the best wide receiver classes in NFL history. Now he set himself up to take a pass rusher in one of the deepest pass rushing classes I've ever studied. And we have 3 picks in the top 50. Remember last offseason, all I talked about was what a special wide receiver class it was, and it was a deep group of tackles. And on top of that, everyone knew there were 3 special quarterback prospects at the top of the draft. Poles was able to land us a franchise quarterback, a #1 receiver for the next decade or so, and potentially a left tackle later as well. He took advantage of the talented wide receiver class, and let's not forget how talented Rome Odunze is either. This is a guy who can be one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL as long as we develop him correctly. But think about that. Last year's draft was special in wide receivers. Poles landed a special wide receiver. This year's class is really special as far as defensive line, and Poles has set himself up to draft one or even multiple defensive linemen. Let's remember, Poles also likes to double dip, so he can do that on the offensive line or the defensive line, maybe even both in this year's draft. So to me, Ryan Poles has already put himself in a position to attack the trenches this season. It's a pretty good class for interior offensive linemen, and it's loaded for the defensive line as well. And then it's also a really stacked class for running backs and tight ends. Maybe we can dip into that pool as well. But we also have to remember that Ryan Poles has that extra second round pick from fleecing the Carolina Panthers. And it's a perfect year to have that, in my opinion. We can potentially land 3 players who are graded out as first round prospects. That's how special of a year it is for us in the draft. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to trade away any of these picks. We have two early picks in the second round, and it's a year where the draft is deep and there's potentially 40 or more players with first round grades. To me, this draft class is deep, but not top heavy. So I think those three picks need to go in the trenches. And that's why I've already been hard at work scouting this year's offensive line class and pass rushers to no end. It's really talented at defensive end and defensive tackle. So after already watching most of these guys play college football all season long, I'm now studying film and going over Senior Bowl tape and putting my draft board together. The Senior Bowl really helped. I was able to pinpoint some guys who will be moving from tackle to guard and a couple who can play center and some similar findings on the defensive line as well. But to me, this is the third straight extremely important offseason for the Chicago Bears. I think Ryan Poles has done a really great job in the first two, but he has to have another huge offseason. He's gotten off to a great start by already adding an extra second round pick, with potentially a third rounder coming if Ian Cunningham lands that job in Jacksonville. And by landing Ben Johnson and this awesome coaching staff, we're getting started on the right foot. Ryan Poles also has this team set up with a lot of cap space as we head into next month's free agency, but the focus should be trenches, trenches, trenches. The Super Bowl proved that, and Ryan Poles needs to invest as much as he can into the trenches this offseason. 2025, the year of the trenches. Ryan Poles, get it done. We are already headed full steam into the offseason. The Shrine Bowl came and went. The Senior Bowl came and went. And the NFL Combine is less than 2 weeks away from starting. That is where a lot of movement happens on NFL draft boards as we find out speed and real measurements of all of the top prospects in the draft. But we are also less than a month away from NFL free agency happening, and that's where Ryan Poles is going to try his best to fill some holes on this roster before we head to the NFL draft, which is scheduled for April 24th. It's not that far away, guys. The year of the trenches. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments. I appreciate everybody who watches. Stay tuned because I have a ton more content on the way. Please remember to hit that like button, and a special thanks to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Stay tuned, guys, and until next time, bear down.